West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast. West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Can you believe it? 2 videos, 2 shows in one day. Well, wonders will never cease on the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. Just in case you didn't know, I'm one half of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, Mashal St. Patrick Hewitt, and this particular video, the second one of the day, is just a quick look back at today's first ODI versus Sri Lanka. If for whatever reason you're using this video to find out what happened today, West Indies batted first, and in a rain-affected match, they reached 185 for 4 by the 38th over. And rain then came, washed out the rest of the West Indies innings and some of the game. Sri Lanka was set a target of 232 in 37 overs, and they chased that down with, 5 overs to go. So they won with 5. They won by 5 wickets. So they reached 234 for 5. And they won by 5 wickets with 31 balls remaining. And on the surface, because some people like to judge matches by the scorecard if they didn't watch the match. Was it as comfortable as the scorecard suggests it was? Truthfully, yeah. If we're gonna be honest, there were moments in the match where we saw some good stuff from the West Indies. I mean, in the first innings when West Indies had a bat after the initial collapse, 34 for 1, 41 for 2, 54 for 3, 100 for 4. After Carty went at 100 for 4, Rutherford and Chase were actually batting really well. I think they put on a partnership of, I can't remember. Let me see if I can find the partnership. Let me see if I can find the stats. Bear with me, people, because they put on a really good partnership. Sorry, Rutherford and Chase put on a partnership of 85 from 78 balls and really started to put some impetus into the innings. Chase hitting 33 off 33. Rutherford in tandem with Chase hitting 51 of 45. And just as the rain came, Rutherford was clearly into his groove. By that point, Shafane had hit, let me just find the scorecard again. By that point, Shafane had hit 5 4s and 3 6s and was looking like he was starting to see the ball like a beach ball. That 74 not out his highest ODI score. Obviously, he's only played 4 matches, but it's his second 50 in his 4 ODIs. Can you believe it? The Shafane Rutherford is 26 years old. We've known about his talent since he was a youth boy. At 17 years old, and it's only now at the age of 26 that he's playing his 4th one-day international. But he made it count today. Chase was good as well, but it was a goal slow at the beginning of the innings. I mean, by the halfway stage, we were only on 100. But what I'm going to do, rather than go through the match like blow by blow, what I did before recording this video is I wrote down like the 5 main things that I learned from this particular ODI. I mean, first things first, it should be no surprise. I think people often forget that ODI is actually our weakest format. Because we don't play it as often, people can forget that we've been down tremendously bad in ODIs for what seems like, at least 10 years? West Indies, there was a brief moment of resurgence when Pollard took the captaincy. There was a brief moment between 2019 to 2021 under Pollard's captaincy where we at least looked competitive in a lot of the matches that we played. But other than that, from 2015, either side of Pollard's captaincy, we've been down tremendously bad. Obviously, didn't even make it to the 2023 World Cup. And to all intents and purposes, we're going to be in the World Cup qualifiers again in 2027, ahead of the 2027 World Cup. For those who don't know how those World Cup qualifiers will work, whoever goes into them, my understanding is it's the top 4 from those World Cup qualifiers, because it's an expanded World Cup, will go through into the World Cup in 2027. So you'd like to believe that even if we end up in the World Cup qualifiers, that we'd be able to be one of the best 4 nations in those qualifiers to make it through to the World Cup. But who knows? We're so bad at ODIs that who even knows? So anyways, these were the things that I wrote down. The first thing that I want to talk about, let me actually put some talking points here. My laptop's going to shut down before this video is over, because it has a knack. Once it reaches 10 o'clock, it just shuts down, So my first talking point that I want to talk about is Shafane Rutherford. Why am I typing this whilst I'm talking to you? I should have had this ready beforehand. So Shafane Rutherford is my first talking point. I thought it was a really mature innings by Shafane. I know he hit that 60-odd versus England last year when we beat England 2-1 in that ODI series, which was a shock series, shock series win, back to normality versus Australia, obviously. But I thought it was a really mature knock. Rutherford came in at a time when the innings was going nowhere. And to be fair, the partnership he had with Casey Carty, which was a rebuilding partnership, if I just read the stats from that, his partnership with Carty was 46 from 75 balls. Carty putting on 23 from 38, Rutherford 23 from 37. And it was a goal-slow rebuilding innings. And that's what I'm saying. By the time Carty fell in the 25th over, we were only 100 for 4. So it's a real goal-slow. But once Chase came to the wicket, Rutherford started to go through the gears and start to accelerate and not play a T20 innings, but just pick the bad balls and put them away. And obviously, because of the power that Rutherford has in his game, once he's in his groove, what a bad ball to some other players might be a boundary ball, a 4 ball. But to Rutherford, when he's in his groove, a bad ball is going over the boundary rope for 6. So we started to see him get into his groove. And I thought it was a really mature knock. I think Rutherford comes under a lot of scrutiny because people believe that he's only a T20 player and he doesn't have the gumption to play patient, well-constructed innings. But today was a well-constructed innings. And the only shame for me was that the rain put a stop to it. Like I say, by the time the rain came, he was 74 off 82 and going through the gears. And it would have been interesting to see that if West Indies had played out those last 12 overs, just how much would they have made. But I thought it was a good knock from Shafane Rutherford. And he's to be... Sorry, people. He's to be commended for that because I thought that was really good. Second talking point that I want to go through is the top order woes. I said in the Discord group, I said in a group chat as well during the course of the game, that I kind of feel like the West Indies bowling I think it's the weakest suit in our ODI game. We've got a lot of weak suits in our ODI game. I think the bowling is the weakest, right? And that means that the batters are in my mind, are always under pressure to really perform, whether chasing a huge total or setting a total that our bowlers can realistically be given a chance at defending, which to me means that more often than not, the West Indies have to put up a plus 320 score to even give the bowlers a chance. Generally speaking, in my mind, if the batters don't put up a score above 300, we're going to lose, I reckon, 9 or 8 times out of 10, because I just don't think we have the penetrative bowling to defend lower totals. So today, top order woes. King, only made in the teens. Brandon made 14. And the worst thing about today was all 4 of them, Athenaeus, King, Carty, and Hope, none of them can say to me that they got out to a perler of a delivery. King barely looked at Hasaranga before Hasaranga bowled him down. It looked like King and Athenaeus were trying to pick Hasaranga from his hands and got bowled down. Athenaeus ran down the pitch, didn't even get to the pitch of the ball, got stumped by a mile. Again, King, poor dismissal. Athenaeus, poor dismissal. Hope, LBW to a straight one, didn't even turn. Poor dismissal. And then Carty, having done all the hard work of batting at his 60 strike rate and trying to reconstruct and rebuild the innings with Rutherford, essentially went ... 1 ... 1 ... 6. Next ball, same shot, tries the same shot again. And bear in mind, the one-handed 6 that he hit prior to him getting out, he wasn't in control of that. Next ball, he goes for the same shot again and gets caught at, I think it was something like long on, at the long on boundary or something. A really bad dismissal. it was a dismissal that didn't show any thinking or any thought behind it. So that was poor. So when I talk about the top order woes, my issue is we didn't make Sri Lanka have to work for those wickets. Man were just running up and bowling. Take Hasaranga out the equation for a bit. The spin, we knew what Sri Lanka were going to do. They were going to just dash spin at us, right? Sri Lanka bowling 10 on the spin in essence, right? He's not even a frontline bowler. They're just bowling. Some of the spin was innocuous. It wasn't like it was turning miles, but we got dragged down into a web until Rutherford and Chase came together as a partnership. It looked like we didn't know how to rotate strike off the spin, and as per usual, as we often see in our ODI game, it was just dotting up. But you know what? At one point in the match, they put up a stat. And I'm going to actually, this links into my third point. Let's talk about consistency. They put up a stat at one point in the match about everybody's average in the West Indies top 7. And Hope has an average of 50. King has an average just over 30. And everybody else, Carty's got 34 to be fair. Carty's got 34. But Athanaze is in the 20s, Rutherford is in the 20s, Chase is in the 20s, Shepherd is in the 20s. Is it any wonder that our ODI cricket is so average? Is it even average? I'd say less than average, right? And I'm not even trying to criticize. I'm just talking facts. When you talk about a top 7, so let's go through it. King's average is 30. Athanaze is 28. Hope is 50. Carty's 34, but at a really slow strike rate. Rutherford is 25, 26. Even if we add on that, although in fairness, he's got the 70-something not out today. So that might, the 70-odd skews his numbers today. But like I say, he's only played 4 ODIs, so we can't even really say that Rutherford is a mark of consistency. And then Romario Shepherd, well, what is Romario Shepherd? Is he a batter? Is he a bowler? I don't think anyone really knows what Romario Shepherd is, but the point is he averages 20-odd as well. So when you have a top order where he's sent, and that phrase that we like to use on CCP and in the Discord group of ODI cricket for us is hope and prayers. It really is hope and prayers. And that's why when Hope got out, what's the score again when Hope got out? The score was... it was, let me just find it again. When Hope got out, it was 54 for 3. And if you go on our Twitter page, in fact, because people won't believe me, let me show you what I tweeted. Let me show you what I tweeted when Hope got out, right? 1 second, people. Let me show you. Just to prove that I'm not chatting nonsense, okay? Where is it? Let me just find this tweet. Here we go. Right, let me share this with you lot. 1 second. Share screen. Here we go, people. Look at this. So when Hope got out, look what I put. Out. West Indies, 54 for 3 off 13. Hope, 5 from 13. Hope misses a straight one and goes after the review. Game over. That was tweeted when Hope got out on our CCP handle. And I wasn't doing that for attention. I wasn't doing it for clickbait. I knew it was game over. Because when you have a team with the batting inconsistency levels that the West Indies ODI team has, you pretty much know that if Hope doesn't go deep and if he doesn't score a century, we're probably not scoring anything worthwhile, and therefore we won't be able to defend it. And that's why I said game over after 13 overs of our batting, because it would require something superhuman that we don't see consistently from one of the other players to save us. And we don't see that often enough. So again, not criticizing, to me, these are just facts. These are just facts that we have to accept, we have to talk about, and we move on from that. So, and how do we solve it? Actually, that's what I want to talk about. How do we solve it? Nicholas Puran don't want to play ODIs. So what I would say to people watching this and get in the comments below, who's not playing right now that can make any kind of difference? I mean, Evan Lewis is obviously on the bench. He's with the squad. Jewel Andrew is only 17 years old. If Jewel Andrew is the answer at 17 years old, then we've got deeper problems than even I realise. Outside of that, what, a recall for Shimron? Who's really out there? Of all the players in regional cricket, who's out there that has the ability to either 1, hit big hundreds, or 2, at least just construct an innings without going ... 1, 1, ... dot 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 4 dot 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 1 1 dot 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 6 out. Right? So like, who have we got? So we're going to be faced with this problem for quite some time yet. Not criticizing. It's not criticism thing. To me, it's just an obvious thing. We got Sammy and all of his backroom staff have a hell of a job on their hands to turn our ODI side into a team that can win consistently. A hell of a job. Anyways, let's move to the next talking point. Let's call this one DLS. So when DLS was like, do you know what? So obviously the rain went on for must have been like an hour and a half. I think they went off the pitch for quite some time, to the point where I just assumed the match was going to get called off. Then when I saw that DLS set 2-3-2 off 37, I was like, no way West Indies. No way West Indies defend that. And what I want to say is DLS, and this is for people in the comments below, is DLS fit for purpose? In 2024, is DLS fit for purpose? And if it isn't, how should it be amended? How should it be changed? I need to like send Jared Kimber a message and say, Jared, do one of your kind of really cool videos on this. But is DLS fit for purpose? Was 2-3-2 from 37 overs, was that a difficult target to set for Sri Lanka to chase? Would it, or do you think that was DLS acting fairly? Do you think it put West Indies at a disadvantage? Because my thing was, as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, West Indies have lost this. Because I didn't believe the pitch was playing. There weren't no demons in that pitch. I was like, yeah, West Indies will lose this then. There's no way we defend 2-3-2 from 37 overs. Or do you think it was a fair call from DLS and that just West Indies aren't good, or aren't good enough, I should say? Intrigued to see what people's opinions are on DLS. And then the last thing I just want to talk about, I'll call this one our wicket-taking failings. Listen to these numbers, people. So these were the bowlers West Indies had at their disposal in today's game. And I've pulled their ODI stats for the last calendar year that they played for the West Indies. So for most of these players, in fact, for all of these players, other than Hayden Walsh, who didn't play an ODI for West Indies in 2023. So the last stats I've pulled for Hayden Walsh is 2022. And we're just talking one-day internationals, people. So Jaden Seals in the games he played in 2023 for West Indies ODIs, took 2 wickets at 62 apiece, economy 6.89. Alzari Joseph took 21 wickets in 2023 at 31 apiece, economy 6.23. Romario Shepherd took 14 wickets at 30 apiece, economy 5.9. Hayden Walsh in 2022 took 9 wickets at 50 apiece, economy 5.97. Roston Chase took 8 wickets at 47 apiece, economy 5.03. And Gudakesh Moti took 10 wickets at 21 apiece, economy 3.92. Let that sink in, people. That was the attack we went into this match with. You can't defend totals with that attack. Take out Gudakesh Moti and we've got nothing. Now, when I say nothing, I don't mean that we haven't got good players. Alzari Joseph's passable. Romario Shepherd on his day is passable. Jaden's young in this ODI team. Roston every now and again does something. Hayden every now and again does something. I'm not saying they're no good. But what I am saying is, in this format of the game, if you don't have at least 3 regular, listen to that key word. The key word there is regular. If you don't have at least 3 regular wicket takers that you can turn to at different stages of the game, no chance. You're winning what? 2 in every 10 ODIs you play? You can't win ODIs without wicket takers. You just can't. Who was on our bench today? Evan Lewis, Jewel Andrew, Shamar Joseph. That's 3. Who else was on the bench? Was there another bowler? Bear with me, people. Who's the person that I'm missing? One second, people. Let me find it. Evan Lewis. Here we go. Shamar Joseph, Jewel Andrew. Oh, it was just those three. So I was right. It was only those three. Oh, sorry. And Matthew Ford. Okay, so Matthew Ford. Can you afford to have Matthew Ford, who didn't have a good CPR? I know it's a different format of cricket, but his recent form was a bit sketchy. But can you afford to have Matthew Ford and Shamar Joseph on the bench when you know that the 6 bowling options that you have aren't, apart from multi, aren't regular go-to wicket takers in the format? Like, I mean, Alzari and Romario's numbers aren't bad. Alzari, 21 wickets at 31 in 2023. Romario, 14 wickets at 30 in 2023. That's not bad. By no means am I saying that's bad. But it's not the numbers that will get you regular wickets. And I guess what I'm ultimately saying then is West Indies, think about what I've just said earlier on in the piece. We have an inconsistent batting lineup that effectively is centered around what can Shea Hope do, because the rest either lack experience or don't fire consistently enough to be able to put up the totals that a weak bowling attack that doesn't have enough wicket takers can defend. That's like the perfect storm of failure. And it goes back to my point. Darren Sammy and his backroom staff have one hell of a job to do to get us to the World Cup in 2027. Don't get this twisted, people. We're going to go to the World Cup qualifiers. Don't anyone who's thinking like we're going to the World Cup qualifiers. More than likely, if I had to bet on it, I'd say there's an 80% chance we're going to the World Cup qualifiers to get to 2027 World Cup, where we'll have to play more than likely Scotland, Netherlands, Ireland will be there. Scotland, Netherlands, Ireland. Who else might be there? Who am I missing? Nepal, Oman, UAE, USA. We should be. I'm probably missing one big team that I can't even think of. We should. Namibia, I'd assume, might be there, although are they co-hosting? I can't remember. You would assume that we would be one of the best 4 teams in that scenario. But do not be surprised, people, if we find it really difficult to get to the 2027 World Cup. Because what I've just described to you is we've got the ingredients we're working with only allow us to win 2 in every 10 ODI games, I reckon, at best. I'm sure some people say in the comments, nah, you're too negative. Cool. Just listen to the points that I've raised. Get at me in the comments below. And let me just clarify. I'm not saying all this analysis I've done, yes, it's based off the game I watched today, but it's also based off what I've seen in our ODI cricket for going on 10 years now. We have one hell of a problem. One hell of a problem. And all we can do, just go rally as always. Just go rally, because what else can we do? Listen, I'm Ashel St. Patrick here at One Half the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. Oh, sorry, before I do that, I just said, what else can we do? Super 50 starts in about a week. Please, God, let us see something in Super 50. Please let us see something other than the usual domestic bullies bullying up the domestic game. And therefore, when we look to see, well, who else can we try? We can't even call no names because it's the same domestic bullies. I beg we see someone. This goes to all the regional players. Someone put your hand up, because there are plenty of spots available in the West Indies ODI team. Plenty, if you're willing to put your hand up. Listen, I've been Mashal St. Patrick here at One Half the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. You know where to follow us, at Carib Cricket Podcast into Google. We're on X, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on Facebook, we're on Discord, we're on OnlyFans. We're out there twerking and everything. Subscribe, like, share, subscribe, do all of that. And of course, as ever, if you've got any little coins to spare, head to www.patreon.com/Carib Cricket. Every little bit counts, every little bit helps. And if you're an Antiguan who follows the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, I will see you all in Antigua in 9 days for the first 2 ODIs versus England. Look out for me on some comms, doing bits and pieces, interviewing people. I'm going to head over to CCCG to watch some of the training with the Academy Youth Men. So all of that. Listen, Mashal St. Patrick here at One Half the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. You know what to do. You know what to follow. You know what buttons to press. See you all very soon.
West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast. West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast.